how to write a cover letter for a degree apprenticeship full guide. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to write a cover letter for a degree apprenticeship, exactly what it says on the tin. Just disclaimer, this is going to be a long video, so respect to you for choosing to invest in your education and watching this full-length video rather than like scrolling on TikTok, which is what you could be doing right now. Respect to you. So there's three things we're going to cover in this video about cover letters. First of all, the basics, then step-by-step how to write one, and then finally I'm going to give you a sample cover letter analysis. Just before we get started, a quick introduction. My name's Owen and I help people get so many degree apprenticeship offers that people start calling them selfish for taking all the spaces. Yep, that happened to one of the students I helped last year. So if you do want to get into a degree apprenticeship yourself, feel free to subscribe right now. It just means that my video is going to pop up in your feed and you can get more videos like this one. Last year, I helped a whole bunch of people get degree apprenticeship offers from companies like JLR, HSBC, KPMG, Amazon, and Rolls-Royce, just to name a few. Now, if you watch this video and you end up getting value from it, like by the end of this video, you're like, wow, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, then you can check out something I do, which is a cover letter analysis. It's the first link in the description, okay? So you don't have to worry about it now. Maybe open it in a new tab right now, but then come back to this video and watch the rest of this video. If by the end you're impressed with what I've been saying, then you can go check that out, okay? So let's get started with the video and let's get started with the basics of a cover letter. So what is a cover letter? A cover letter is basically something you're going to have to do in the initial application to degree apprenticeships, okay? And it's a document to accompany your CV, okay? So your CV, what that is basically a list of all your experience, your education, your achievements, this sort of thing. And the cover letter is basically a document which accompanies that, okay? And back in the day, this cover letter you sort of would have sent by post to the employer and attach your CV. So it's sort of like an introduction about yourself, okay? It summarizes your motivation, summarizes your experience, and then they look at your CV for a full list of your experience, okay? So it's an introduction summary sort of document. Many degree apprenticeship companies will ask for one in the initial application, which is why you need to make sure you have a cover letter, you know how to write one, etc. This is going to be your first opportunity to impress the recruiter, okay? So you really want to make sure that you write a good cover letter so it can leave that good first impression. There are hundreds and thousands of people who apply to degree apprenticeships. They are very popular. So you really want to make sure that you're not getting kicked out of the first stage because you didn't have a very good cover letter. It's your first opportunity to impress. So you really want to have a high quality cover letter, okay? And then finally, it's crucial for getting through to the next stages and the next stages. Because, for example, in your interview, they will have your cover letter in front of you, okay? Even though your cover letter you like submitted that at the very start, they're going to be using that throughout the application process, okay? So even in your interview, they're going to have your CV, they're going to have your cover letter in front of them, and they're going to be thinking about that as well as your interview performance, okay? Which is why it's really important to have a solid, high quality cover letter, okay? So that's what a cover letter is. So personalization, I just want to touch on this. Personalization is key. You might have heard that to do with degree apprenticeships, people saying personalize your applications, okay? What does that mean? Well, using the same cover letter for every application isn't going to cut it, okay? So you can't just make one cover letter, copy, paste, do the same one for all different companies, different roles, because it's not going to have that personalization. They're going to see that you've just copy and pasted. It's kind of generic. It's not going to impress them, okay? You want to be in each cover letter, you're personalizing it to the company, personalizing it to the role, okay? So this is like the workflow you need to do in terms of personalization. This is what I recommend. Number one, you want to make a master cover letter. Okay, so this is just sort of a generic like main cover letter. So you have like 90% of it written out, and that's like the structure you're going to go through. And then you can make some edits for different companies and do that final personalization. Okay, does that make sense? You make a master cover letter, and then by the time you come to apply, you just make a few edits for each company. That's your personalization. I'm going to teach you how to do both of those in that video, how to make the master cover letter, and then how to do the specific personalization for the different companies and that sort of thing. All going to teach you in this video. So presentation, don't worry about presentation. I get this with CVs as well. People are always like, they start trying to get some cool CV design, some cool cover letter design, get some nice little template, fancy thing they found online. Don't worry about it, okay? Because all that leads to is procrastination. People go searching around for templates and they spend 2 hours doing that and then they never actually start working on the content, okay? Because this can seem quite daunting. You're basically having to come up with like an A4 page of writing. Maybe you've never done a cover letter before. You want to do that hard work first, okay? So don't worry about presentation. Don't worry about a template for now. Just focus on the content. When I did my cover letters, I literally just wrote it all in Word, like Calbury 12, default, didn't do any color, anything fancy, no text boxes, images, any of this sort of stuff. The main thing to focus on is the content. Okay, and the structure of a cover letter, I've blurred it out on purpose here just so you don't get ahead of yourself and start reading it, right? But this is what it is. It is basically a letter. It's going to be one A4 page like this that you're going to have to submit. And basically, I'll go through in this video how you can write this. Going to take you step by step. No problem. Finally, just want to talk about AI. Use of AI. So I'm talking ChatGPT here basically, because I imagine with ChatGPT, you can just put in a prompt saying, write me a cover letter for an engineering degree apprenticeship. Okay. I do not recommend personally doing that. Okay. The first reason is I've been told by recruiters that companies are scanning applications through AI detecting software. So if you get scanned and it detects AI, it's just like straight away your application's gone. And then it's like, okay, what's the point? Right. Second reason is you're going to struggle in the interview because you don't understand the meta. Okay. When you make a cover letter and when you make a CV as well, you're sort of understanding the degree apprenticeship meta. You're understanding what they are looking for. You're understanding how do you embed scenarios? How do you embed transferable skills? All these things. You're actually understanding it because you're having to do some deep thought while you're like crafting and constructing your cover letter. When you just chat GPT it, you're not going to understand it. You're going to get to the interview. They're going to ask you some questions and you're not going to understand it. Okay, they're going to ask you, tell me about a time you worked as a team. You have no idea because you didn't write anything. ChatGPT wrote it all for you. Okay, you're not going to understand that. Okay, so I do not recommend using AI ChatGPT. Just want to get that out of the way. Yes, okay, it'd be super easy if you did. And it's a bit, like it's kind of a bit of hard work writing the cover letter yourself, but just do it because otherwise you're just not, it's going to be much more difficult to get the job. Okay. So just write it. I'm going to cover in this video step by step how you can write the cover letter. It's really not too bad. Okay, so there we go. Those are the basics out the way. Let's move on to step by step how to write the cover letter. Okay, so there are 7 steps to writing the cover letter for the degree apprenticeship. All you need to do right now is you can either watch this full video and then go and write your cover letter, or you can do it at the same time, like watch a section of this, then go and write the section, then watch a section of this, then go write the section, okay? But what you want to do is get out a blank Word document. Again, we're not using any fancy templates, presentations, anything like that. We just want to get the content down. If you want to then do some fancy template afterwards, fine, but just get the content down first, okay? So start off with literally a blank Word document, Google Docs, Notion, whatever you want to do, and then we can get started with the 7 steps to writing a cover letter for a degree apprenticeship, okay? Number 1, interest. Super simple, okay? I wanted to start off easy. You're literally going to write this sentence: I am writing to apply for the position of ... Okay, and then you're just going to use the exact words you're applying for. So I'm writing to apply for the position of software degree apprentice at JLR. I'm writing to apply for the position of civil engineer apprentice, right? Whatever it is. Key here is use the exact words from the job description. Okay, so for example, if you're doing JP Morgan, it would be, I'm writing to apply for the position of financial services apprentice. I'm looking to apply for the position of technology degree apprentice. Okay, easy. That's your first paragraph. Boom. Okay, it does get a bit harder, but like not too hard, don't worry. Right, this is where you actually introduce yourself now. So how do you introduce yourself? Well, I'll keep it super simple. You just do an introduction and 1 fact. What's the best way of doing this introduction? Just explain your current state of affairs in terms of study, and then do an extracurricular. Okay, this is what I've done every time and it works. Okay, I'm an A-level student currently studying maths, physics, and chemistry. Okay, that's the introduction. It's probably the most important thing. Okay, if you're in a gap year, just say, I'm a gap year student recently having completed A-levels in maths, physics, and chemistry. Okay, or whatever it is. Just basically state what your current situation is, because that's probably like the most relevant thing they're looking for. Okay, then just add an extra fact, extracurricular. In addition to this, I got the gold certificate last year in the Maths Olympiad, which required deep focus and deductive problem solving skills. Okay, super easy. In addition to this, I'm part of the school's problem solving club. Right, in addition to this, I'm school captain. Like, in addition to this, I'm head boy. Like, whatever it is, okay? Super easy. That's how you introduce it. Just fact about like what you're currently studying, gap year, year 13, whatever, and then just a quick fact, extracurricular, something like that. Keep it super simple. And this is what your cover letter is going to look like now. So we've got that first sentence. This is just like, I'm doing like a sample as we go along, so you can sort of see how I'm writing it, and give you some inspiration as well. So just, this is like some fake application. Imagine me applying to building service engineer at this company, XYZ Practice Industries Limited, right? So moving on to company research. Okay, so the next paragraph is the company research thing. And this is a chance to show off your motivation. This is the personalized bit. Okay, this is the bit you're basically going to have to write one of these paragraphs for every single one of the companies. Okay. And it's basically answering the question, why do you want to work for this company in particular? Because then that's going to be the difference between you copy and pasting a cover letter from every single thing you're applying to the company reading your cover letter and actually understanding why you want that company in particular, why you want that role in particular. It's going to make you a much better and more attractive candidate. Okay, so it's going to be highly personalized using your own research. Okay, so company research paragraph, that's what you need to write. But don't worry, I'll go into a bit more detail for you. So here's what you want to be looking for specifically. You want to be using company websites to find all sorts of just like research, okay, on the company. You basically need to talk about, for 4 or 5 sentences, the company, why you want to work there, okay? Use the company websites and just find stuff like trends, goals, innovations, projects, statistic values, what's going on with the company. That's what you want to do. Just trawl through those websites, find some facts which interest you. Then you're going to put it into a paragraph, and you can just use a couple of sentences like this, these like example sentences. So I'm interested in this position because I'd like to work for a company which really cares about net zero. I know that your company recently did a project into Brazil. I learned how you used artificial intelligence to help like the Rio de Janeiro trams or something, right? Your commitment to sustainability is important to me because I want a career where I can help future generations. I recently read about your new strategy of incorporating artificial intelligence into This caught my attention because I recently did a course about artificial intelligence. Okay, super easy. This is what I do for all of my cover letters. I just use these 4 sentences. Okay, so this is where, like, remember when I said earlier about personalization, you can sort of have a master copy and then you personalize for each company. My master copy literally just included like a paragraph with these 4 sentences. Then each time when I come to a different company, I just put a different fact in here. Okay, so I put a different fact that I know their company does. I put a different fact about commitment. I put a different fact about what I read about, right? And then you can personalize it for each company. And to fill in these facts, you're going to the company websites, you're finding things like trends, goals, innovations, project statistics, values, okay, whatever you find interesting, okay? So let me give you some examples, okay? So I've told you need to do the research. Let me literally imagine I'm applying to, I've just picked out these 3 companies randomly because I know they're quite popular. Let me just imagine that I'm writing a cover letter for these companies. What would I talk about? So if I come off here, if it lets me. There we go. Okay, so imagine I was applying for KPMG and I was using these sort of words. I'd be like, I know that your company has a strategy to help blue economy. Your commitment to sustainability is something that really interests me, and I hope through my career I can help the marine ecosystems. Right. I also read about how one of your values is excellence. This really resonates with me because I care about doing things to the best of my ability. For example, when I did one of my year 12 mocks in maths, I ended up getting a C grade, but I really thought I could do better. So I worked really hard to make sure that I could get an A star in my final exam. Boom. Okay, that's kind of the thing you could do as a research paragraph for KPMG. Right, let's imagine we're doing Rolls-Royce. So I recently read about how you have a new propulsion hybrid engine for military vehicles. This really interested me because I've actually been doing my own research in low emission vehicle transport, and I could use this knowledge to help Rolls-Royce in its journey. I also read about how that your strategy there's a lot to do with sustainable cash flow and a strong balance sheet. This is really applicable to me because recently I took a course in business in engineering, and I could bring those analytical and numerical skills to try and increase the profit margins for your company. Okay, do you see how literally you just use these sort of sentences, just any variations of these, and just put in random facts? Okay, and it can literally be facts that interest you. Just go to their website, scroll through like the different things like media, if they have things like about us, client stories, news, anything like that. Just go through and start using these sentences and just put in facts that interest you. I recently read about your work with AI and large data sources with BMW. This is something that interests me because I want to use artificial intelligence within my career. I recently did a Harvard University course on deep learning. So this is something that I have a growth mindset about and I'd like to learn more about. And then you can use I'm interested in this position because I would like to work for a company that really cares about innovation and changing. I know that you have the tagline of "Let there be change." This is something that interests me because I care about coming up with new ideas, and I think creativity is a strength of mine. Okay, so there's 3 examples for you there, some quite popular companies: KPMG, Rolls-Royce, Accenture. That's how you can do it. You just go on, look at whatever facts you want. Those are just 3 those are like some random pages from the websites that I clicked on just to give you this example here, and then just use loads of variations with these. Okay, so that should make it a lot simple. Okay, so I know here I was just like company research paragraph, might have seemed a bit daunting. Where do you even start? Just use these sort of sentences, go onto the company websites, look for different facts that interest you, go and do that. Okay, I just include this screenshot because this was a just resource I provided to my students last year. Just some like research for some companies like BMW or JLR. So if you're interested in any of these companies, here's a bit of a starter of something you could talk about for those companies. Okay, and then you can basically get a paragraph which is like this. I'd like to work for the company because I'd like to work for a company that cares about sustainability and the consequence of its operations on the planet. I know your goal is to be net zero by 2029, especially in things like engineering. A lot of companies are net zero. They have like net zero targets. And a lot of those companies, sustainability, they're looking to check it off somewhere, okay? Because it's a big thing, especially in engineering companies. They're looking somewhere in the application for sustainability. This is an easy way to mention it and get that sustainability bit ticked off. Your commitment to this goal is important to me because I believe that reaching net zero is a crucial target for the construction industry. Furthermore, I read about your work on the English Metro. This interested me because last time I delivered a presentation about da-da-da-da. Right, there we go. So you've done a project there. That's one of their goals, all that sort of thing. That's the kind of paragraph you can do. And basically, you write one of these. You have to write one of these for each company that you're applying to and writing a cover letter for. Okay, so that's where the personalization comes in. But it's really not too bad because you're just doing the same structure over and over again, just like fact 1, fact 2, fact 3, fact 4, essentially. Okay, put that all together. This is how we're doing so far with our cover letter. Okay, moving on to number 4. So like your 4th paragraph is going to be the work experience paragraph. Okay, so the best case scenario is you have a work experience placement and you can talk about it here. Okay, if you don't have a work experience placement, don't worry, I'll get to that in a second. But the best case scenario is that you've done work experience with a company. Whether that's some virtual work experience, whether that's like a 5-day, 10-day placement you did at the company in person, no problem. This is what you talk about, okay? The key here is tick off as many activities and skills from the job description as possible. Okay, let me give you an example. So this was a cover letter, but this is based on a cover letter I did, right? And based on a work experience I did. And this is how I wrote it, basically just talking about all the things I did in my work experience. This is the work experience paragraph. Notice right now how closely I link this to the job description, okay? So this was the job description. Being on site, numerical calculations, shadow other members, commercial arrangements, Microsoft programs, CAD. Like this is a real job description. This is what they wanted. I made sure that my work experience paragraph matched that exactly. Okay, this is like the cheat code for getting into degree apprenticeship. It's like they have a job description, just match it exactly. Because then you're literally the perfect candidate. They have a job description which is like, these are the responsibilities, these are like the key skills. Match those key skills exactly. Match those responsibilities exactly. Okay? So being on site and following health and safety guidelines, that sort of like comes in here because I'm at a project. Fine. Performing numerical calculations, we'll have to like analyze the difference between these different measurements. There we go. Numerical. Shadowing other members of the team. Shadowing other members of the team. Okay, understanding commercial arrangements on site. That's like discussion with the contractor over defects. That's like the commercial arrangements on this site, right? Microsoft programs such as Word and Excel. Well, boom, we've got Excel there, right? Using CAD and other design software. Boom, we have Fusion 360, which is CAD, right? Understanding engineering drawings. Understanding these project drawings. Okay, so that's the best way of doing your work experience, because you could just write a paragraph doing some random things about your work experience which aren't even relevant, or where possible, try and match exactly the job description. Like if you can literally print off the job description and literally tick off everything on there, that's the best way of getting a degree apprenticeship, right? Okay, so that's how you need to write your work experience paragraph. Get your number 1, what's most relevant. So if you're applying to like digital and technology solutions, maybe you have some like coding work experience you did with a technology company. If you're doing some civil engineering apprenticeship, maybe you had some work experience on site at a construction site. If you're doing a manufacturing degree apprenticeship, maybe you had some like work experience at a factory, these sort of things. Talk about it and tick off as many activities and skills from the job description as possible. So the job description literally looks something like this. You can tick off the whole thing. Okay, so if you don't have work experience, ideally get work experience, but if you don't, no problem. Basically just use this section to talk about any other like things, basically. So any other jobs, volunteering, courses, school project, extracurricular activities, industry events, webinars, that sort of thing. Okay, because you still want to use the space and be able to show off stuff. So you can just do something like this. This is what I did on other cover letters when I didn't have any like relevant work experience. I just did, if we come back here, I just did this sort of thing. Okay, so I just said, as you can see from my CV, I have bullet point, and just highlighted some things. Okay, just so that I had something on there, just so they can see, oh, okay, he's done that course. Yep, he's done this event. He's done this like conference. Okay, cool. So this is what you can do if you don't have work experience. However, ideally have work experience, and I've done a bunch of videos on it, so you can click the link in the description for how to get work experience playlist. Okay, so now it's going to look something like this. And this is what we've done so far. At the bottom here, you'll have your work experience paragraph, or you'll have it on some other thing like some volunteering or some course if you don't have any work experience. Okay, so let's move on to the bonus section. You should still have plenty of space left. So remember, we are writing a one-page CV, a one-page cover letter, sorry. It needs to be one page. Don't worry, by the way, as you're writing this, if it like looks like it's going to be too long, we'll cover that at the end. Okay, so say like you've written really big paragraphs and you're already at like one page. Don't worry, just keep writing and then we'll cut it down later. Okay, but you will have space now for a bonus section. This is where you can just use it just to highlight a few extra skills. Okay, and exactly what I said before with work experience, you want to use the ones from the job description. Okay, like the few extra skills. So if in the job description it's asking about communication skills, leadership skills, make sure in this bonus section you mention something about leadership. You mention something about communication. Okay. Another thing, in this bonus section, if possible, use different like bonus things, like achievements from your CV. What do I mean by that? Okay. So this is like your list of achievements, right? This is the sort of stuff you've done, which is going to make you a more attractive candidate. In case you've done D.A.V., some prize at school, some online course, there's like club, football team, instrument, project, EPQ, whatever, right? Let's say in your CV, you've already mentioned those ones there. Okay? Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Those are already in your CV. There is no point then in your bonus section talking about the exact same like these three. Okay? In your cover letter. There's no point. Because they've already seen it. Right, so you're not really adding anything, okay? What you can do is, in your cover letter, include different ones from your CV. Include this one. Include this one, okay? Because now, there's like new things they're learning. They're like, wow, this guy's got even more achievements. He's got even more skills. Okay, do you get it? If we just do the CV and we just do like these three again, well, we've shown the recruiter in total throughout our whole application, our CV and cover letter, that we have 5 achievements in our life, okay? However, if we do different ones, boom, we now have 8 achievements. 8 is bigger than 5. We're now a better candidate because we have more achievements and more skills and like more things we've done, okay? So in this bonus section, use different, like mention different things from your CV, okay? So here's an example. Just literally a couple of sentences, just add extra space, add some stuff. Completing my D.A.V. recently allowed me to develop my communication and interpersonal skills, and volunteering has taught me some leadership skills. Boom. Simple as that. Like ideally, in your CV, you wouldn't have mentioned D.A.V., you wouldn't have mentioned a football coach, so it's like a new thing you're learning, because that's the most efficient way of doing it. Okay, and this is what your CV is going to look like. Okay, so now we're nearly there. This is looking really good. Hasn't been too bad, has it? And there we go. Moving on to step number 6. This is the summary section, and literally just reiterate your interest. You're just closing it off here, and you can drop in an extra bit of research if you want. Okay, so let me give you an example of how I do this. This is how I do it every single time. I'm eager to work for then you put the company name in there, a company which has planted trees at projects in over 140 different countries. That's just a way I'd easily just get in an extra fact. Okay, remember we got the facts in earlier as part of that research paragraph. This is just an easy way just to get an extra fact, impress them a bit more. Okay, so I'd use this exact structure because this structure just works perfectly. I'm eager to work for whatever, a company which, and then just insert any fact you want. Okay, and then also this one, this sentence, you can copy this sentence like straight off. I just put this at every single one because it sounds good. My goal is to develop my career in a meaningful way, and I believe I can achieve this through a degree apprenticeship with your company. Boom. Okay, so again, when you go to apply to lots of different companies, this is something you're going to have to personalize. You're going to have to like change the company name, obviously, put in a new fact, all this sort of thing. But you can make that master copy of the cover letter, as I said, where you just put all this in and then you just change it every time you're applying for a different company. And that's like a really good way of closing it off. So there we go. That is basically what your cover letter is going to look like. In terms of length, this is what it might be. This is probably ideally what it would be like, just over half, 2/3, because we've got to add a few extra things. I'll show you that in a second. But if it ends up being like a page or a page and a half right now, it just means you just need to cut it down. So there's no problem if you are over the limit. So say, for example, you're 1 page, 1.5 page, 1.25. It's just cut it down to roughly 2/3 a page. Okay. And that's actually a good thing. Like it's better to be over. I always say this with CVs and cover letters. It's better to be over the page limit and then be able to cut down, because then you're going to be cutting out like stuff which is like not perfect. Everything that remains is perfect. Okay, so say you write a page, you cut it down to 2/3. You're going to be cutting out the things which don't like kind of aren't as good as the others. The 2/3 which remains is going to be absolutely amazing. Compare that to if you write a quarter of a page and then you need to get it up to 2/3. You're going to start like waffling and putting random things that don't even like sound good, right? So if right now you've written all those paragraphs, you're 2/3, perfect. If you're over, no worries. Just go through and see where you can remove the sentence. Oh, this sentence like isn't as good as the other one. I'll get rid of this one. Oh, I could shorten this bit a bit. Oh, I'm sort of waffling a bit here. Let me just cut this down. Okay, no problem. And then you need to make it look professional. That's the final thing. You don't want to submit it just looking like this, because again, it's all about leaving a good first impression. You want to make it look professional, and I'll get into those in a second actually, because I think it's easier to show you than to tell you. And there we go. There's the step-by-step how to write a cover letter. Now let's move on to a sample cover letter analysis. I've got 2 cover letters to show you. So let me come over here. So remember these. We'll just cover this first. These make it look professional things. Okay. So there's 4 things that you need to do just before you get it ready to submit, basically. Number 1, you need to put your home address. Okay. Because at the end of the day, a cover letter is like a proper letter. This is, you might have been taught in primary school. I remember being taught it in primary school, but then like never got mentioned again, so I completely forgot this was a thing. But this is how like proper letters, like letters that get sent in the post, Royal Mail and all that sort of thing, this is how they're supposed to be formatted. Basically in the top right, on like always the right hand side, you need to put your address. Okay, so your address, not the address of the company, your address. There, 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 and then the date that you're submitting it. Okay. And then when you come down here, you need to make sure you have a proper greeting. Okay. Usually it's just going to be dear sir/madam. Okay. If you know the name of the recruiter, for example, it's a hiring manager, you know their name, then you can put dear their name, right? But usually for degree apprenticeships, they have like a whole bunch of recruiters, a whole bunch of hiring managers. So there's no like specific one person. So usually just dear sir/madam, that's what you need to do. Then I always find it's nice just to put a title, because I think it just makes it look more professional. So just before we start the rest of it, which we've just written down there, I'd put a title, which is just the year you're in. Then I put the exact job title from the which you put down here. And then I just do a nice little hyphen, company name, put that all in bold. It just looks professional. Okay, so 2025 Digital and Technology Solutions Degree Apprentice, JLR, whatever it needs to be. Okay, and then you just put it like that. It looks professional. And then finally, you can do a sign off. This is how you want to do it. After you've done that sentence, that paragraph which we wrote down there, just something nice like, I look forward to hearing from you. And then you want to put yours faithfully and your name. Okay, so if it's dear sir/madam, you put yours faithfully because you don't know who they are. If in the case that it was someone like dear Mike Myers, right, or whatever, you'd then put yours sincerely. Okay, does that make sense? So most of the time when it's sir/madam, you'll put yours faithfully. If it was like a person, you'd put yours sincerely. Okay, that's just another letter convention that people do. And then just put that. And now you have like a nice cover letter like this. It looks really professional. And there's going to be a lot of people who haven't gone to the hassle of this. My recording just broke, but no worries, I think we're back up again. So yeah, a lot of people won't have gone to the hassle of making it nice and like looking professional like this. They might have just left it like looking like this, right? So again, it's a really good first impression. When you do this, it makes it look really good. So let's have a look at the sample cover letter. So this is a real cover letter that I submitted to a company, and it was successful. Got me through the application, the initial application process. And it's where you can edit the structure for this. So the structure I've recommended in this video is, it's like there's no set structure for a cover letter, if that makes sense. Like at the end of the day, you can do whatever sections you want, okay? But I found what I've taught you today is what's worked best for me, and it's what worked best for the people I've helped with getting offers from companies like JLR and Amazon and KPMG and all this sort of thing, right? So you can see just in this cover letter here, which is a real one I sent off, I didn't even bother doing like that extra skills paragraph. Okay, so remember that like bonus paragraph we did here, which was about just mention a few extra skills. I didn't even bother with that in this cover letter. So you see what I mean? You can be flexible with this. I think, I don't know why I didn't include it. I obviously just didn't really feel like writing it, but you can be slightly flexible. You can include extra things, like for example, if you think work experience is really relevant, you can make this work experience a bit longer. I think that's why I didn't include this bonus extra skills section, is because I'd written quite a long work experience section, and I'd just rather use the space on this work experience because it was really relevant. But this is where, again, I want to show you with like personalization. This work experience here is the same as this work experience, but you can see I've written a totally different description. Okay, so it's the exact same work experience placement I'm talking about, right? Based on, but I'm talking about different things. In this one, because it was to do with like the building services, civil engineering side of things in this like sample which I've written, I've focused on like that specific part of it, right? The specific construction things like surveying catch pits and dimensions, and like CAD and CAD drawings and level data and all this sort of thing. I've focused on those very site specific things. This job was sort of more, it was less site relevant, okay? So I wasn't talking about things like anything on site, like catch pits, level data, CAD drawings. I was talking more about just like engineering and project as a whole. Things like witnessing conversations between engineers and contractors, right? Compensation events, reporting defects, specifications, industry standards, professional world of work, okay? So that's another way of personalizing it, is even for the like same work experience, you can write it differently depending on the company, depending on what they are looking for, okay? And then here's just another example, as I said, of the introduction. Like you just introduce yourself, I'm currently studying this, and then this time I decided to talk about, I'm a member of the school's problem solving club. Boom. Okay, this was a different research paragraph I did, again, but you'll find that with especially engineering, a lot of it does revolve around sustainability and like carbon neutral and all this sort of thing. Okay, and then just the final one here, that this is what I like to throw in, is when you do the sign off, yours faithfully, and then you've got your name down here. In this section, this is massive, insert your signature. Okay, so you know people who have like the iPads with like the white Apple pens, right? And you can like draw on the thing. If you write your signature there, it looks super professional. Like you might have in the past got like a letter from like your headmaster, or like a letter in the post, and it's like someone's signature is literally at the bottom there. It looks super professional. So what I did was I got my friend's iPad because I didn't have an iPad, and I went on his like a Word document, used his pen, and I wrote like my signature on there. So there's like a digital signature, and I just emailed it to myself, copy and pasted it, and I basically put that signature between the yours faithfully and my name in every single cover letter just to make it look super professional. Okay, because again, no one else will have gone to that level of like detail going that far. If you do that, then it's going to look super professional and give a really good impression. Okay, so there you go. That's just a look at sample cover letter. Hopefully that gives you some more inspiration as well on top of that one we've been working through today. And then final thing, once you have written your cover letter, what you want to do is just export it as like this is the file name you want to call it. First name dash last name dash cover dash letter. Obviously change your first name, like Don't just leave it as first name. Put your first name there, put your last name there. Usually things like cover letters and CVs you submit as a PDF, that's just the convention. Obviously, if the company specifies something different, like if it specifies we want it as a Word document, do it as a Word document. But if it doesn't specify, just do it a PDF and call it that again. It's just professional to have a name like that. Okay. So there we go. That is the sample cover letter analysis done. And there we go. I've fulfilled my promise. I've walked you through exactly how to write a cover letter for a degree apprenticeship. So now, if you found this useful and you've taken action and written your cover letter, here's a bonus step for you. If you want feedback from me, then go down and click the first link in the description. Okay, so this is like a testimonial I've had. I helped someone with their cover letter, with their CV, with their interview, their assessment center, and they ended up getting an offer from IBM. So if you got value from this video and you've been impressed, wow, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, feel free to click the link in the description and go check out that cover letter analysis, where I'll be able to give you personalized feedback to really help you with the application process to the companies you are interested in. Okay, so thank you for watching. Hope that helped. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out. See you later.